Hey guys, it is me, Sammy, alone on this channel for the first time in probably years. I wanted to answer lots of different questions and also give you an update on kind of where I'm at and above all addressing the fact that quarantine has hit my hair hard. We're going to go with whatever is happening. So, 2020, what a year. Just when you thought it couldn't get more wild. There's been a few things going on in my life that I have not really been talking about or haven't felt the need to talk about, but I kind of wanted to address them now because I feel like in quarantine I've had a lot of time to think to myself, as have a lot of people, and I started about a week before everyone else because I had a cough after I got back from Disneyland Paris. I don't think it was coronavirus. Probably wasn't, but I was doing what I was told by the government and self-isolating. So 2020 has seen several things happen in my life and that has affected me in different ways. Obviously, it was a big year for Niki. He recently came out. And as a family, I think we've all processed that really well, and I'm really fortunate to have had Linda there to make sure that Niki was okay every step of the way. And as a twin, and I'm not going to rehash this because I've been over it in the video we did with Niki, but obviously it was like discovering something very fundamental and important to someone that you weren't aware was there, as a twin who you sort of projected yourself onto. That was a shock and something to get used to, but obviously not in a negative way. That took a lot of mental power to process, on top of, I guess, a struggle that I've been having for the past couple of years, mentally. Rightly or wrongly, I kind of always assumed that, I guess, until it happens to you, that you're invulnerable to any sort of mental upset or any mental health issues. And I think if you mention mental health, it comes with this overwhelming idea that it's like a big, debilitating illness that you have to adjust your life to, and it's not really something you'd think you'd ever contend with. I've been feeling a great level of anxiety and stress over these past couple of years, which fundamentally stems from social media. I think in the 7 years that we've been doing this, the platform has shifted massively. Social media has changed a lot. You're seeing people share things that they would never have shared 6 years ago, 7 years ago. For me, I feel as though it's become a space that I feel like I'm not familiar with, or I feel as though I'm not as comfortable expressing myself in. So over the past couple of years, I've sort of been dealing with that in a way that I thought was appropriate, and maybe that's posting less on social media, hiding keywords, blocking certain people from commenting on channels, hiding users and muting people that I'm supposed to be following altogether, because I think the world we live in these days is a constant cycle of stress, and I found myself never actually finishing that cycle of stress before getting onto another cycle of stress. And when you've built your career over 7 years relying on the you entertaining people or seeking approval of your content so that it does well on an algorithm or it performs well, is mentally harrowing. And so hat off to anyone that has managed to make it longer than 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. But these challenges with social media hadn't really manifested physically until I'd say about 6 months ago. I had these weird dizzy spells, and I say dizzy spells, that was making light of it. I would faint or sort of feel like I was going to faint. So a few years ago, I ended up in hospital from exhaustion, and that was down to all a manner of things. Work, but also not eating properly, and then being really cold in Disneyland when we went with the family. Whole different thing. But recently I've been having episodes where I would feel like I'm going to faint, or I do faint, or I feel like I'm going to collapse. And this is a weird thing for me because I've never experienced it. And I don't know if it's more the thought about getting worked up about having the physical fainting episode, which I'd had in the past, but I now know that it was all an anxiety attack. And I had never had these before, but my family has a history of dealing with anxiety. So I was having these anxiety attacks, most recently at Disneyland Paris was when these sort of started. And I was sitting there at breakfast, and which, if you've been to Disney, you know a breakfast buffet is like the most stressful experience ever. So I done the buffet, I sat down, it was me and Linda, and I kind of like, I can't explain it. I just sort of like tunnel visioned at my plate of beans and eggs, and my heart rate just shot up. And I wear a Fitbit, and it was like, wow, you're working out. And I was like, no. And over the time that I was at Disney, this was an occurring thing. So I stopped drinking coffee, and I didn't go on as many rides that would perhaps induce adrenaline, because I had a faint inclination that perhaps it was associated with that. I don't know if this is still filming. I also went with Linda to a photo shoot. Obviously, she's a photographer, and she was shooting with our good friends Joel and Leah. And I wasn't even helping on the shoot. I was just there to keep Linda company because it was a late night one. That's beside the point. And I was sitting there. I was playing my Switch, I think. She's behind me. And I started to get this very odd sensation that I was all too familiar with, and it felt like I was going to faint. So I was laying, Linda was really good. She came in, she said, like, lay down, and Joel and Lee had all these props, like ice cream and stuff that finished with. They're like, eat that. And I was like, oh, no, okay. So I ate the sundae, and for about an hour, I was just like a shaky, shivery mess. And it was just the oddest experience. I now know, after having blood tests and an ECG, that it's probably anxiety. I mean, everything, all of my doctor's appointments and stuff are cancelled now because of coronavirus. So I've been thinking about ways that maybe I can make my life a little bit stressless. But what scared me the most is not being in control of how your body was reacting to certain things. And I had no idea, one, why it was happening. Like, we all have stresses in our lives, so you just think you're completely vulnerable to this because you are so ready to deal with it all. And honestly, it was just worrying that it could happen at any moment, and I had no control over it, and I've never dealt with any mental health issue. I've always been quite stressy, but I've never dealt with any mental health issues, and I didn't perceive that I would deal with any mental health issues. Again, I haven't been given any medication or anything, so I'm just dealing with what I can Google at the moment. I do still have a few episodes where I'm sitting there, and for absolutely no reason whatsoever, I feel like I'm going through a very dark tunnel of anxious energy. That has sort of been the overriding emotion and thoughts in my brain this year, and for the past couple of years, as I sort of realised that maybe social media is not originally what I started to get into. I still love making content, especially for TTK. I love that channel so much. I love coming back over here and seeing the older audience that you guys are now. We're all growing up together. And I suppose that kind of puts into perspective dreams, ambitions and goals. A couple of years ago, if you'd asked me, even a year ago, if you'd asked me what my dream was, it would be a radio presenter, radio DJ. I'd still love to do that. But I think realistically, it's a very competitive space, and I don't think it's healthy for anyone to not only compete on the social media level, but to also give a lot of their energy to chasing traditional, which are notoriously apprehensive about using social media influencers. So if that happens, it would be a dream come true. In the meantime, I'm thinking to the future. I would love a house soon of my own. I'd also love to have family in the next few years, and that's something I wouldn't ever feel comfortable about sharing online. And I just think social media can be quite a dark place for kids. That's my own personal opinion. Whatever one does with their kids, that is totally fine. Kids need to know how to use social media. They're living in the modern world. So my ambition right now is to get a job that's got a reliable income, that allows me to meet new people, have a more relatable life experience to a lot of my friends. That a lot of my closest friends aren't on YouTube. They are normal people, and I think it would just help me structure my life more. And I really think that will help mine and Nikki's relationship, my mental health. But I'm still very excited to keep making lots of content for you guys. It's just that I won't be on the day-to-day handling the business side of stuff that Nikki will be doing, editing all the videos. I will just be pursuing a different life path, hopefully making different content than we've made in the past. On that vein, a new thing that I've got is a tattoo, finally. If you know anything about me, I've wanted this for at least 8 years, since I graduated and did my dissertation on this specific goddess, which I'll tell you in a second. So it means a lot to me. I never got it done because, one, I'm a wimp. Two, I was really apprehensive about finding the right person to do it. Fortunately, I did. So this is it. I have no idea if that's in focus. This is my Glaucopis. It's the owl of Athena. It's her familiar. I love Athena, and I finally wanted to get done. I mean, I did a dissertation on her, so I should really show my appreciation somewhere. But yeah, I really wanted to do that. And this video was going to be about my tattoo. And then Niki said, that's really boring. It has been a very stressful past couple of months. I'm really excited for what the future holds, and I'm really excited to keep making amazing content for you. Also, I know a lot of people have been stressing about the coronavirus quarantine and feeling like they're not exercising enough, they're not doing enough. And I'm also kind of tired of seeing all these posts saying you need to better yourself whilst you're in quarantine. If you're just getting through the coronavirus crisis by existing at home, that is enough. You do not need to feel like you need to do anything else. So I really feel for anyone that is feeling stressed from those sources. And what I'm going to start doing, and hopefully maybe you guys can do, is take the words should and need to out of my vocabulary, because that is so negative. They make me feel like I've got this somebody overbearing telling me what I should be doing, but actually it's all happening up here, and not beat myself up about things that maybe I should be doing, haven't done, would do, could do better, because I think we are all so harsh on ourselves sometimes. This has made me feel a lot better. I feel terrible about not posting enough on social media, not updating my Instagram stories every single day. I feel like if I can get back to enjoying these things by it maybe not being my sole focus day in, day out, that will be good. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it more. Honestly hope that you are all well. Thank you as ever for all of your support. And if you're still here after all these years, you deserve a medal. I'm gonna leave this now. This has turned into such a waffle. I'm sorry. It's made me feel better. Thank you for the free therapy. If you're new here, please make sure you press subscribe and the bell notification button next to it, wherever it is. And I'll see you guys next time with a more upbeat video. Cooking in quarantine. I don't know what I keep doing. Well, thanks for watching. See you, well, I'm not going anywhere, so a lot more often. Bye.